We can know with certainty that our highest good is unfolding in truly amazing ways, even when we might not be able to see it. When we surrender outcomes and let go, we know we can avoid revisiting and overthinking that which we have released. When we truly surrender to the Spirit of God, we have no need to worry. We can know purely and completely in our heart that all will be well. So with that knowledge, we can relax and release and trust and breathe. And so it is.
So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Yes, come as you are. The perfect gift that you can bring is your heart. So come. This table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everybody cares. At this table, everybody matters. So come, pull up a chair.
I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it. And I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading? Or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatism? Or lockjaw? Or dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing. And I gave it up. And I took my body and went out into the morning and sang.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender.
Good morning. I have no announcements this morning, so happy Sunday. That's all I've got to say to you all. And we're going to have some fun downstairs. Please help me with a blessing.
We bless you. We acknowledge the Christ light that you are. And so it is. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender.
Good morning. As you may have noticed, I'm not new. I've been going to Unity for about the last 18 years. But usually it's my wife that you see up here, Robin. Robin, as you may know, is a birth doula. And last night around midnight, the phone rang. And I vaguely remember a request to, hey, honey, can you take care of that thing at church? And here I am. So I will do my very best to fill in for my very talented wife. So these are her words, and if you can imagine her speaking through me, you have a really good imagination, and I will do my very best. I want to welcome you on this, the last Sunday in February at Unity in Lynnwood. We like to use the phrase intentional welcome. What we hope to convey by this is that every person is welcome, no matter where in their spiritual journey they might be. As a spiritual community, we know that what is sacred and cannot be contained by walls or words. All of us here arrive with variety of life situations and circumstances. We come here because we value companionship on our journey, which is non-judgmental, curious, respectful, and engaged. We come here with shared values of love, acceptance, diversity, justice, spiritual growth, the worth and dignity of all. We come to experience our interdependence, to touch strength together that we cannot find alone. And if there's anyone out there who is like me, I welcome you to almost spring. At our home, the crocuses are blooming, and the frogs are ribbiting, and the daffodil bulbs are up, and it's lighter in the morning and the evening. Thank you, God. Today, this is Prayer Sunday. You are invited to join your prayer chaplains in the family room for what we call a divine wholeness session. This is a silent, sacred time of being supported by a prayer chaplain as you open to the movement of the Holy Spirit within you. And today, your Board of Trustees has generously provided hospitality. All donations will benefit Unity in Lynnwood's Building Fund. Thank you for your support. Charles Fillmore said something like this: "A great number of things that you look on as realities are simply transient shadows that can be dissipated into nothingness by your telling them the truth that they are not real." I love this because it reminds me that things that we see as true, things that we have believed about ourselves, about others, about the world, are not necessarily real or true for us. And when we find ourselves stuck in believing these things, prayer is a great way to move away or to let them fade away. At Unity in Lynnwood, we use the term affirmative prayer to loosely define our conversations with Spirit. Affirmative prayer is a declaration that is the truth about God's creative and restorative power active within all people and situations. My prayer can be an affirmative thought in silence or whispered words. Here at Unity, we offer many ways to walk you through your prayerful life. At Unity, we offer many avenues of prayer support, prayer slips, hotline, and one-on-one prayer with prayer chaplains. Can the prayer chaplains stand so we can acknowledge you today? I know you're out there. Denials and affirmations are short, powerful statements of truth spoken silently or audibly to our subconscious mind for the purpose of relaxing the soul and opening ourselves to the flow of divine ideas from Spirit. They are written in the present tense and spoken in a relaxed manner. A denial states the powerlessness or impermanence of a situation and thereby prevents our subconscious mind from investing energy in a mistaken belief. An affirmation states the truth of a situation and thereby instructs our subconscious mind to focus attention on that which is true and permanent. I'm going to say today's affirmation once, and then if you would please say it with me. Into any lengthening shadow of night, I speak the timeless words of invocation. Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light. And so it is. Together? Into any lengthening shadow of night, I speak the timeless words of invocation. Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light. And so it is. And while we're all standing, let's take a moment and greet the people around us, welcoming them to unity.
Get up on your feet, see the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet, see the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we are to be. We are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Get up on your feet, see the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet, see the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we are to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. When you walk into the edge of those dark and lonely woods, and when I ask how was your day, you answer, not so good. And when nothing seems to be working out quite the way it should, I will shine the light. When the skies up above you fill with gray and stormy clouds, and there's not a single face you know in the maddening crowd, when you know that you will make your way, but you just can't see how, I will shine the light. I will shine the light. I will shine the light. I will hold you in my arms until everything's all right. I will shine the light. And when your worries, they won't let you sleep and rob you of your days, and you've looked in all directions, but you still can't find your way. When you just need someone to remind you that it's all gonna be okay, I will shine the light. I will shine the light. I will shine the light. When you're staring down your demons, who's waiting in your darkest night. I will shine the light. Sometimes we jump into the great unknown. Some roads we're on we'll have to walk alone. But waiting there in the end is a heart that calls you a friend. That's me, clapping the loudest, welcoming you home. So when your heart is heavy like a stone from carrying its load, and you look into the mirror and see someone you don't know, or when the shadows are closing in on you like a hand around your throat, I will shine the light. I will shine the light. I will hold you in my arms until everything's all right. I will shine the light. I will shine the light. I will shine the light.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. Good morning to our online audience. Let's welcome our online audience. For those who feel comfortable doing so, spin around and say, hey, hey, hey. We see you. We know the truth of you. We declare that that which is within you is ample to all that stands before you. Ooh, how's that for a way to start a Sunday? Unity in Lynnwood's small group ministry offers you a bevy of support. Next week, the women's group meets. You are asked only to bring an item for the altar or perhaps a favorite affirmation or saying. If you are one who provides regular care for another, you know the value of allowing another to provide care for you. The price of admission is simply show up. A prayer shawl ministry, well, what is that? Come find out following this service in the family room. Our leaders are Angela Eckram, licensed Unity teacher, and Barbara Thorpe, licensed, Callie Gray. Whew, I almost assigned you another responsibility. And Callie Gray, all are welcome. Do please note, if you do not know how to knit or to crochet, this might not be your group. Education is not among its goals. Spiritual Awakening, a healing service. It is a midweek service facilitated by your associate minister, Reverend Nina Clark. All are welcome at 7 o'clock. Please come anytime after 6 o'clock and enjoy what has been written as a hearty vegan soup meal. I didn't grasp that those words could all go together. Hearty vegan soup meal. It's like jumbo shrimp, really. I don't know. Please save the date. May 14th and 15th. For all who hear the sound of my voice, in upcoming weeks, you will have an early bird registration opportunity for $99. Join women from Unity in Lynnwood and abroad. Our facilitator for 2020 is Ricky Byers. May 14 and 15, yes, you may applaud for Ricky Byers at Unity in Lynnwood. She will also be with us on that Sunday morning. Look around the room, won't you? What I would have you grasp is that everyone in this room has a place at Unity in Lynnwood. You are welcome here. You have noticed that there is a slow process evolving, and part of that process includes a keypad on the front door. What I would have you grasp about this is that we seek to find that sweet intersection between uncompromising welcome and responsible action. Here is the charge for you. If you are one who attends our events, our classes, our services, if you are in service here and you want the code, you ask for it and it will be given to you. Is that a fair enough rule? Our goal is not to exclude anyone. It is to keep everyone safe and secure at every moment. We quite cherish you, you know. Thank you for helping us reveal that sweet intersection. Unity co-founder and dear friend to many, Dennis Brandt, passed beyond our sight last Saturday, the day before his birthday. He was one of the 8 who stood to center in a living room and gave rise to the very idea which we continue to enjoy week after week after week. The family has invited his spiritual community to his celebration of life service. All are welcome Saturday, March 7th, 2 o'clock p.m. Let us close those outer eyes for a moment and let us hold Dennis Brandt, such as we knew him to be, such as we are willing to know him to be. Let's hold him in gratitude. Let's hold him in gratitude. Let's hold him in that idea of light. While to that container, to that vessel, we necessarily come to that point in a journey at which we say to that body, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, but to that which the vessel contained, to soul, to the truth, that is Dennis Brandt. We say no such thing. We simply say, thank you, brother. We say farewell for now. We say Godspeed, Godspeed, Godspeed. And so it is. So last week I suggested to you that it's common for a wisdom story to offer a spectrum of meaning ranging from the most literal, factual to the most hidden, mystical. I suggested that the problem with our post-Enlightenment Western world orientation is that it so favors the literal, factual end of the spectrum. It so favors that which can be charted on a graph and weighed on a scale and measured with a ruler, that when a wisdom story fails to resonate with us at that end of the spectrum, we discard it. And as a result, we are discarding the timeless wisdom of centuries, even as we are dismantling the noble aspects of religion. And I do not mean to say that all aspects of religion have been noble. I suggested that the literal, factual end of the spectrum. Our Jewish brothers and sisters have a name for this. They would call that end of the spectrum Peshat. Our wisdom stories tend to exist as history or as culture or as ethic, but at the hidden mystical end of the spectrum, and the name for that would be Sod, our wisdom stories tend to come alive as autobiography. So deeply did Unity co-founders Myrtle and Charles Fillmore avail themselves to this hidden, mystical end of the spectrum that they ultimately came to perceive the entirety of the Judeo-Christian Bible as something of an owner's manual for the awakening and evolution of every human soul. From Genesis through Revelation, places were assigned metaphysical meaning. Names were assigned metaphysical meaning. Animals were assigned metaphysical meaning. Events were assigned metaphysical meaning. Numbers were assigned medical meaning. Numbers were assigned metaphysical meaning, and so forth. And while generations of students have studied and memorized and regurgitated the metaphysical meanings assigned by the Fillmores, to call that good enough is to miss their deeper lesson. That deeper lesson being that they availed themselves to the hidden mystical end of the spectrum in the first place. To be an excellent Unity student, you see, isn't to arrive at a destination, it's to embark upon a journey. In the end, there is no surrogacy program for spiritual awakening. Parroting the words of our greatest avatars without embodying their meanings will never get you through the cosmic pearly gates, contrary to the very loud opinions of a few. And so it is that I've invited us to avail ourselves to the grand and epic myth commonly called the 7 days of creation in such a deep and personal way. I've invited us to interrupt it as a highly problematic story about some cosmic assembly line run by a fickle male, and to rediscover it as autobiography. In other words, I've invited us to find ourselves in the story. Now, context. It was Abraham of Hebrew Scripture who experienced the divine as a flaming torch in a deep and terrifying darkness. Jacob described a fiery ladder with angels ascending and descending in the dark night. The psalmist explained that thy word is a lamp unto my path. The prophet Isaiah, that those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them a light shone. It was Paul who wrote, while I was approaching Damascus, a great light from heaven shone upon me. Jesus himself, that you are the light of the world, and you, like the lamp, are here to shine. And this symbolism of darkness and light continues even through the book of Revelation, in which the New Jerusalem is described as a city of light requiring neither sun nor moon. The nativity narratives of the Christian tradition certainly do not disappoint. Both the authors of Luke and Matthew fill the night sky with light, one for the angels who would announce the birth, and another for the magi who would locate it. And it's not difficult, perhaps, to understand why this symbolism of darkness and light so permeates our world's religious traditions. In the dark, we cannot see. So in the dark, we stumble. In the dark, we fear. In the dark, we lose our way. And in the dark, we rest. So in the dark, we are unconscious. We are unaware. It might be said that in the dark, we are asleep. But in the light, we can see. So in the light, we don't stumble. In the light, we don't fear. In the light, we do not lose our way. And in the light, we are active. So in the light, we are conscious. We are aware. In the light, it can be said, we are awake. This symbolism of dark and light expands to represent bondage and liberation, exile and return, inequity and justice, violence and peace, falsehood and truth, death and life. Dynamics just as relevant to those sitting in this room this morning as they were for those who shared the narrative so many years ago. So it's in the second week of my meditations upon this particular creation story. And if you are waiting for Adam and the rib and the snake, please note that you've come to the wrong creation story. It's in the second week of my meditations upon this particular creation story, following last week's prologue, in which we found in the beginning of creation, God. In what can only be imagined as an infinite darkness, that God spoke. God spoke. Now, there are interpretations which would equate the power of the word with the power of the thought. And while the power of the thought is really quite central to unity philosophy, I can quite assure you that the power of the word to elevate, affirm, and create, or to diminish, degrade, and destroy is oh so real. Maybe you can relate. Even in the small scope of my public life, navigating the pain and the damage of words can only be described as regular housekeeping. I think it's been too long since I have encouraged us with great humility and deep respect as an intentional spiritual community to remain ever mindful of any caustic opinions, any cynical assertions, any partial truths that we might wield against each other. Even science supports this idea of the power of the word. Nancy Joy can tell you more about this. Even science tells us that to bring an intention into tight focus is to maximize all that reflects the quality of that intention and to minimize all that does not. In effect, science tells us that unity thinkers have really kind of had this right from the beginning. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So the next questions for each of us in conversation about any creative process become, if my words really are powerful, do I speak words which would elevate, affirm, and create? Or diminish, degrade, and destroy? Do I speak words which would argue stuckness or envision freedom? Do I speak words which would argue a stale history or envision an inspired possibility? So again, in the second week, it was following last week's prologue, in the beginning of creation, God, and what can only be imagined as an infinite darkness that God spoke. And as each of us can certainly recall from our earliest days of plaid shorts and hair barrettes and macaroni messiahs, those words attributed to God were, well, now that's dark. Now, see, that was a joke. That's not truly. God said, I can't see a thing up in here. No, that is not what happened. I wonder what in my consciousness created this. No, none of that happened. The words attributed to God were, let there be light. And what can only be imagined as an infinite darkness, let there be light. And it occurs to me that there comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of that which is not yet visible. I have to believe that the Rabbi Jesus spoke to this when he was asked how to pray. He offered the words, on earth as it is in heaven. And while in our relentless distancing from him and from his teachings, humanity assigned heaven as something of a future state, I don't think that's what he would have meant. For him, it's more contextually reasonable that he would have considered heaven to be a very real, albeit alternate, reality of higher possibilities, waiting not for our death out there and out then, but awaiting only our welcome right here and right now. And if I'm right, then to forego heaven for one's final days is to completely miss his point. To forego heaven for one's final days really is to leave Jesus just shaking his head. There comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of that which is not yet visible. Isn't this what so many of our greatest visionaries, creators, and avatars did, each in his or her own way? Didn't so many of our noblest souls become people of that which was not yet visible? Didn't so many of our noblest souls press against the walls of impossibility erected by humanity's limited thinking until those walls of impossibility began to crumble? It occurs to me that there comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of liberation even as we dwell in bondage, people of return even as we dwell in exile, people of justice even as we dwell in inequity. It occurs to me that there comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of peace, truth, and life, even as we dwell in violence, falsehood, and death. It occurs to me that there comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of light, even though we might be immersed in the lengthening shadows of our own brands of infinite darkness. All the experts said so, they all said so. Heavier than air flight was clearly impossible until it wasn't. And the year was 1903, and all the experts said so. Climbing Mount Everest was clearly impossible until it wasn't. The year was 1953, and all the experts said so. Breaking the 4-minute mile was clearly until it wasn't. The year was 1954. There comes a point in any creative process at which we must become the people of that which is not yet visible. And while we've come to enjoy what this suggestion might mean in our individual lives, greater prosperity, increased health, heightened creativity, deeper satisfaction, richer relationships, and more, let us remain ever mindful that our work is never for us alone, that there's something of a wake that follows individual elevation, pouring itself forth in support of our collective elevation. Would you like to hear that again? Yeah, I don't really have the time for that. Our work is never for us alone. There's something of a wake that follows individual elevation, pouring itself forth in support of collective elevation. Even though it was decades and decades and decades before Bannister finally broke that 4-minute mile, you see, it was a mere weeks later that an Australian did the same thing. It was a mere months later that 3 people did the same thing. It was in the same race. And in recent years, over 20,000 people have done the same thing, including high school students. I mean, I myself have I've read about it. There's something of a wake. It follows individual elevation, pouring itself forth in support of collective elevation. I like to think that one person demonstrating a never-before-seen equality makes it easier for the next 20,000, you see. I like to think that one person demonstrating a never-before-seen generosity makes it easier for the next 20,000. I like to think that one person demonstrating a never-before-seen compassion makes it easier for the next 20,000. I like to think that one person demonstrating a never-before-seen understanding makes it easier for the next 20,000. It was George Bernard Shaw who spoke to this in this fashion when he said, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends upon the unreasonable man." There comes a point in any creative process at which we must become people of that which is not yet visible. There comes a point in any creative process at which, even though we might be immersed in the lengthening shadows of our own brands of infinite night, we must turn from the experts. We must turn from common wisdom. We must turn from popular cynicism. We must turn from popular cynicism. I think that one deserved twice, don't you? We must turn from cliquish complaint. Comes a point in any creative process at which we must become wildly unreasonable, even as we lift our eyes toward the darkness to say again and again and again, "Let there be light, let there be light, let there be light." Let's close our outer eyes for a few minutes to be with this idea. There comes a point in any creative process at which we are to become the people of that which is not yet visible. There is a 4-minute mile in your world. And it beckons you to lean into just how it might feel to become a person of that which is not yet visible. setting aside my statistics, my probabilities, my projections, my histories, how might it feel to become a person of that which is not yet visible? There's a 4-minute mile in your world. How might it feel to become a person of that which has not yet appeared? And so we hold that idea without judgment, without resistance, and to it we simply speak those words of invocation. Let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. And so it is.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. That was lovely. That is not.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. It was lovely.
That was improv. It happened. It happened. Now is the time when we come together and give back. Mother Teresa said, "It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving." So, as you are lovingly preparing your tithes and love offerings, I'd like to remind you that if you prefer to swipe your credit card, an iPad station has been made available for your convenience. Michelle Van Eyck will assist people with this new technology near the Welcome and Information Station. So with that information, let's say our offering affirmation together. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving. And so it is.
All that I have, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender, in sweet surrender. shelter of love in sweet surrender, in sweet surrender.
As we bless these gifts, we are grateful to the source for all that is provided to us. And as a spiritual community, we are sincerely grateful to all those who give of their wealth in order to make this community thrive. To those who give on a scheduled basis, to those who are donating online, and to all of those who are here placing their gifts in their basket, we are forever grateful. Did you know you can participate in our Sunday services online? Okay. Next one. We still love. Sorry. We still love to have you here, but if you are ever unable to come for any reason, please participate by joining us on Facebook. And if you don't have Facebook, you can watch on YouTube. There's even a host to guide you through the service, and everything available here is available online, except for maybe the hug and the handshake. For those of you who would like to learn more about Unity, we provided a newcomer's information card in the chair back and a welcome packet on the wall rack near the door. Visual aid. I wasn't supposed to read that. If you would like to join our mailing list, a Stay in Touch card is available in the chair back as well. Just drop it in the offering bag or give it to someone wearing a name tag. This service offers about 2 email messages per month. And finally, we invite you to visit the gift shop and to request your complimentary copy of, wait a minute, the Daily Word. And to visit the Let's Connect table in the Friendship Hall right back there. We're glad you're here. And if you are here for the very first time, we would love it if you would be willing to raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you and say hello. Thanks for coming. As always, for details and registrations, please visit the Welcome and Information Station. For online registrations, visit the calendar page and click on the event itself. University in Lynnwood's Health and Wellness Ministry presents 2 invitations. Anyone who regularly eats food is invited to join the first follow-up from the interconnected What Should I Eat series on Saturday, February 29th at 1 o'clock. Future conversations will focus on how we can help each other with tips, tricks, shopping, and menu ideas, plus a little motivation thrown in to support healthy eating. And increase your energy and vitality with Dr. David Ramele. I think I got it right. Ramele. On Sunday, March 15th at 12:30 p.m. Dr. Ramele, yes, is a naturopath and chiropractor who incorporates natural approaches with the latest scientific research. He is the author of the book Perpetual Energy. Learn how to use ancestral habits to help us not only survive but thrive in our modern world. We have a work party planned for this Friday and Saturday as our wedding and event gazebo vision comes to life. It's like right out there. Consider joining Tim Vokes and others for the fun by registering at the Welcome and Information Station. And now, please welcome a wonderful human being and the local humanitarian outreach ministry chair, Welaine Sharples, to the platform for an invitation.
Good morning, and it is a good morning. Who are the homeless, and what makes a home? This year, the Humanitarian Outreach Ministry has committed to exploring and supporting this complex idea. To date, we have had 2 community potlucks, watched much of the documentary Trickle Downtown, which explores homelessness in the Seattle area, put together 50 meals for the Transitional Housing Program at the YMCA, and learned about many organizations doing wonderful work for the homeless. One of the organizations we heard about from UIL member Ann Thurley. who volunteers with Humble Designs. Which brings me back to what makes a house a home? In looking at Humble Designs videos, I was struck by what one volunteer described. She went to visit a family who had been living in a home for several months. The home was completely empty, save for makeshift mattresses in the bedrooms and a blanket in the dining room where they gathered together to have their meals. Humble Designs turned that house into a home, completely furnished right down to matching four-place settings of cutlery and dishes, pictures on the wall, home decor, all done with the family's preferences and interests in mind. Video after video both broke my heart and lifted me up as families walked into their newly furnished homes and apartments. One little boy, on seeing his room, burst into uncontrollable tears when he saw not just a bed, but a small desk and a chair, a poster of his favorite basketball team, a bedspread with a sports motif, and a bookshelf with a Star Wars book on it. When his mother assured him it was okay and it was really for him, his tears turned into the brightest smile I've ever seen. Another 9-year-old boy had never had a bed, and that was all he was wishing for Christmas. But he passed by the Christmas tree and the presents, and he stopped, stunned, in front of a dining room table beautifully set. He turned around and he said, Mom, come and look, it's a table." Another child, upon seeing his home, said, "I can finally bring my friends home from school now." Statistics for returning to homelessness once those leaving shelters are given houses is 52% on average. In the 3 years Humble Designs have been doing this work, their recidivism has been a staggering 1%. Why? Because Humble Designs turns their house into a home where they can bring family and friends that they can take pride in and want to hold on to, and where they have finally truly felt seen and cared about. Which brings me to why I'm standing here right now. During a normal week, Humble Designs furnishes 1 or 2 apartments or homes. But right now, they have a project to furnish 28 apartments in a month. They are in desperate need of kitchen items, small appliances, pots and pans, kitchen utensils, matching sets of silverware and dishes, linens for bedrooms and bathrooms, art for the walls, etc. All donations need to be new or gently used. A postcard which lists the items needed, as well as highlighting upcoming humanitarian events, can be found at the Welcome and Information Station, where Anne will be located to answer your questions. When I brought this idea to the staff meeting, they immediately felt that this community would want to help. And I did too, because that is what we do here. We help each other. We hold each other up, because we know we are not separate. We are all connected. We are all welcome at the table. So please, go home today and do some early spring cleaning. Bring your donations the next 2 Sundays and help give a family a new beginning. And it is with immense gratitude that I say to you, my spiritual family, thank you to each and every one of you for being exactly who you are.
And lastly, please grab your Lent 2020 booklets as you peruse the many consciously sourced items of inspiration and education in our gift shop. Please know that the ambassadors stand at the ready for any questions you might have, and that all good things happening at Unity in Lynnwood can be found on your printed program by visiting our Facebook page, on our app, or the calendar page of our website at unityinlynnwood.org. Thank you.
Awesome. Yay. When a team, when people make something look easy, right? We might take it for granted from time to time. What a team you have and all of your platform people. I mean, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift. Thanks for being here today. Always, it is a pleasure. I like to say it is an honor to bask in the nobility of your presence. And I like to say that because it's forever true. It's forever true. Thank you for being here. You're welcome. It's my great pleasure. In talking with Dr. Ramele through Nancy Joy this past week, it's always compelling to me when we are doing business and the question arises, but what about your product sales? And a presenter says, you know what, I'm giving all of it back to the church anyway. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? I'm giving it all back anyway. Nothing. This is a man who has a message. Please avail yourself to what he has to say. You're welcome. If there's a first name of any soul you'd like to introduce into a closing time of prayer, please speak that name now. Speak the first name. So on behalf of those names issued, on behalf of all who have turned anything of a spiritual hearingness, anything of a spiritual ear to this conversation, we say welcome. We stand with you. We stand for you. We stand decidedly in the transcendent truth, the higher level of reality that we choose to call God by virtue of being in a building like this on a Sunday morning. We stand in a life without end. That's where we stand. We stand in a sufficiency that is ample. We did not come here to scrape and to struggle. We stand firmly in a harmony that we know longs to press itself into this world of form through human hands and human hearts. Always we stand in wisdom ample and sufficient to any sense of confusion or incompletion. This is where we stand. We do not dawdle in the shallow waters of partial appearance and apparition. We stand in the deepest truths of that which we call God. This is the prayer we offer. It is the position we assume. It is the gift we humbly give on this day. On behalf of all who have turned anything of a spiritual ear to this time of decision, we say, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. And we reopen those human eyes of ours to speak together these compelling words of benediction, which read, there is one power and one presence in, through, and around all creation. So we go forth as the eyes of divine love, as the tongues of divine wisdom, as the hands of divine sufficiency, and the bold and ready hearts of divine life.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on.
Last week we started with the idea that in the beginning of creation, God, not in the beginning of creation statistics, not in the beginning of creation argument, not in the beginning of creation history or probability. The counsel of week one was in the beginning of creation, God. In the beginning of creation, expand. Be in possibility. That was week one. Week two challenges you, dear brothers and sisters of Unity in Lynnwood to look and to hold the walls of impossibility we might have erected and to lean on them by saying, let there be light. Creating a space that all who follow might find their way through with you. You good with that? So let's close our time of celebration and communion simply by saying then, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Have a great week.